Hi, we live in Vegas, and it's 118 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's
Sorry if you hear my air conditioner. And I'm in a 2-story on the second floor, closest to the sun.
It's hot! Hey, welcome back! Yeah, I thought I had more to that. I'm here to talk about the books I read in May. I read my best friend's second favorite series, and that was the whole of May. So, let's get to it. For, I guess, technically, like, the first and a half time, because she was in bloopers, I'd like to introduce my best friend, Aubrey.
Hello.
Alright, so are you ready for me to either ream on your books or love on your books?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
But to be fair, of the 2 sets that I gave you, I'm okay with being reamed on this one. One, because it is a very young
YA novel.
Very young. I'm getting there.
I want to help you if I can.
It was the spinny thing, so get all lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of the 2 sets to be reamed on, this I'm okay with. The other one, I will not be your friend at the end.
Also, it's 118.
It really is 118.
118 out. We have a shitty little fan here and a shitty little fan over there, so if you can hear it, sorry.
It's hot. It's very hot.
And we're also going to
drinking.
Have fun, yeah.
Water.
Plenty of water.
Lemonade water.
Mine's raspberry.
But it's still tea. Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, it's tea. It's not... Try it again. Water of tea.
Leaf juice. So my thoughts on Wicked Lovely. Well, a couple things right off the bat. It's third person, and I've already talked about how I have a hard time connecting with books that are third person, so it has to be really good for me to get drawn into it. It's a very, very slow start. Not a lot. I mean, like, the very intro was really cool and interesting with
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool part. Other than that, though, when you...
Spoilers. You don't really know it's until, like, the very end of that.
My man.
Straight up spoiler from the jump.
You're right, yeah. So yeah, once you get to Ashlyn, it's slow. It's just her living her best life, apparently. But whether this was for the full series or just this book alone, she packs everything in the end. Like, I felt that way throughout all of the books.
Yeah. It's like each book she thinks is going to be the last book she writes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, just kidding.
I'm going to write one more.
Here's all this more information.
I also was disappointed with, I think it's the first, at least 3. The first 3 had very basic fairy names, and I was kind of disappointed. I wanted more unique fairy names. I wanted more interesting. Like, Keenan is so bland. It's Keenan.
I hate the name Keenan, so go ahead.
Okay. Sorry to anybody named Keenan out there.
I mean, let me rephrase that. I hate Keenan, so...
It's fair. Ashlyn is the main character, and, like, I feel like that's... I like the way she spells them, because that's unique, but I just think that they're not par for fairy or fae terms. It's technically about a human who can see the fae world, which most humans do not. And if they do, they have to accidentally make it known to them, and bad things happen to them because fae are apparently mean in this story, when not a lot of them are actually that mean. Ashlyn, because that's what we're calling her.
That's fine.
Ashlyn going through this journey trying to ignore the fae, but once the Summer King has noticed her, it's kind of like endgame for her because he has his eyes set and he knows that is his Summer Queen, which I forgot to mention. He's looking for a Summer Queen. The Winter Queen, which I did like this. I did like the realms, and I know that's a real thing. The Winter Queen had killed the Summer King previously, and Summer King has to find a Summer Queen to balance out the courts, because right now Winter has a lot more power, and there is... Why is he looking?
She bound his
but
powers.
The Summer Court is also very weakened because
their king is bound. He only has...
they make it sound like he needs the queen to make this court stronger.
Well, he has a curse.
The next book in this series is called Ink Exchange. Now, this book had so much potential. I thought I was going to enjoy this book.
First thing I have to say is massive trigger warning. Trigger warning.
Yeah.
Because I read these when I was in high school about 14 years ago when I started reading them. And when you're that young, yeah, we've been out of school for 10 years, and I read them when I was freshmen keep adding to the
15 years.
So you read them when you're kind of young, you don't really know, and you think, oh, like these are lovey and dovey and cute and sweet, and no. Trigger warning, fat on this book. All of them aren't bad, but I do have to make one little smidge comment about it. So I read a book that I did not give to you because it is
a 0.5. I saw there was a whole bunch in Goodreads.
Oh, there's tons of 0.5s.
Because I was like thinking about reading them, and I was like, you know what? No. We're gonna put it to bed.
Yeah. The only thing is there is like a book, like a book, not just an audiobook or an ebook, because a lot of her like ones that sit in between are ebooks or audiobooks. There is an actual book that came out, and it's Cold Iron Heart. Mm-hmm. It adds a bit more to Iriel, who this book is mostly around Iriel, and it kind of gives him more of depth. Yeah. And not so rapey. This book switches. What I do like about her books is most of them have a different person you're following, but you kind of jump in between.
And see, I didn't like that. Especially if you're going to put me in third person, you need to stick with one person so I can get involved with them, so I can grasp on to the realization that, okay, I'm enjoying this series. So whenever we went away from Ashlyn and Keenan, I kind of sped read through it because it wasn't as appeasing to me as getting back to the story. Because
there's this huge plot line.
Yeah.
And then you got these thick books that have nothing to do with the plot, and you're jumping back and forth. I get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it. So I like, whenever I give these books to somebody to say, hey, read them, I enjoy them. I've read them at least 5 or 6 times. Like, seriously, read them over and over. And she was like, oh, I want to read these. So I was like, cool, I'm going to read them too. And I powered through them. And I still pick up things that you don't realize. Because I've read them in a lot of chunks in my life where I was really young. And then I was a little bit of an adult. Now I'm more of an adult. And now I used to love this book. And now I hate it.
Well, like I said,
I hate it.
It had potential. It had so much potential.
It jumps from Aslan, and now Ashlyn jumps to a girl, one of her best friends, Leslie. Now, Leslie is a girl who everybody calls like the slut and the whore.
Yeah, which is again another trigger.
But she kind of she embraces it in a way. But what you don't know is in the background, she doesn't. Like, she does it because something happens to her that you don't get very fine details. But you do.
You get the picture.
You get the picture.
There's
her
a bigger
brother
picture.
Pretty much sells her for drugs, and she's raped. And so she is trying to find something to put herself whole again. And she is friends with a guy that works at a tattoo shop. And she hangs out at this shop a lot, and she gets really close to these people, and she becomes really friends with them.
The tattoo artist and his 2 sisters.
Yes, his 2 younger sisters.
Yes.
So there's Rabbit, there's...
Trisha? No.
Tish. There's
Tish.
Rabbit, Tish, and she shows up like 6 times.
Yeah, she's Anna.
No. Tish. It mostly involves Rabbit, Leslie, Tish, Iriel. So Iriel is this dark, steamy, handsome guy that shows up she dresses this man in hot, steamy goodness, which when you find out why, you understand. But she goes and she's friends with Rabbit, and she visits Rabbit. She keeps been telling Rabbit for a long time, oh, I want a tattoo. So finally, she's got a job, she's working, she saved up all this money. She's like, you know what? Talks to Rabbit. And Rabbit's like, well, what do you want? What kind? And she goes, you know what? You're an artist. I want your art. Give me something. So he goes, let me think about it and let you know. So she saves up her money, goes in. So she gets this tattoo. Yeah, so this is a tattoo. And he wants to do it in pieces. So he starts it, and she starts to feel this tingliness. And she really feels like she's gotten herself back. She's like, wow, like there's something put in me, and I'm getting a part of myself again. Like claiming her body again. Which, at the beginning of this, I love that feeling.
But that's what I'm saying. It had potential because this would have been a cool ass idea.
Yeah. But then she
It
fears
went down.
that,
very
she's like
quickly.
trucking up this like beautiful women empowerment story. Come to find out, the ink of the tattoo is made with the blood and tears of Ariel. Ariel is the king of the dark court. And so there is the high court, dark court, summer court, and winter court. She has this crush on somebody that's in the summer court.
Yes.
Who also used to date Ariel hundreds of years ago.
Date? They never mentioned that.
Yes, they did.
I saved it.
Yeah, you told us because like they're big hot. It's not.
I know he fucked him up.
Hot commodity because they.
He left him scars.
No, he didn't. He had him scarred. Girl, did she read this? So Ariel, the tattoo connects her to Ariel, and it removes her emotions to where Ariel is sucking them through him, and he is nourishing his own court with it, and it pretty much makes her drunk and high, vacant.
Yeah. And
throughout a couple chapters, when she wakes up, she's naked and after smelling of Ariel. Throughout chapters, and she's not aware of this. And in other books that I know you're not going to read, so I can explain this to you. In other books, they become a couple and they love each other, and it's a thing.
Yeah.
But if you only read this book, you don't know that. So it's like rape.
Yeah.
It's awful, and I hate it, and I just wish she would have gone a different direction, like had her just catatonic, locked up in a room without snuggling up to Ariel the whole time.
Like he just feed off the emotions without being all weird rapey. So my thoughts on this book. One, like I said, they changed the characters, so I'm not a fan of that. The parts where he touches her are so uncomfortable. There's this part
it's just awkward. It's like she was like 14 when she wrote this book, and then was like, you know what, I map all these books around this. Like, this was her first book that she wrote when she was like 12, 14, and then designed all these other beautifully, I think they're awesome books. But you have to go into it knowing that these are written for
young adult.
But
even when
which also makes it very weird.
Like I was gonna say, there's this part in the diner that Leslie works at that he is just a fucking creepin'. He's a creep, and it just made my skin crawl. Just like that. It was fucking creepy. Like I said, the names got better because I like Ariel as a fae name.
Oh, I love Ariel's name.
I don't know why I wrote this, but I said Neil and Leslie's relationship is weird at the moment. I think it was because she was like, I want to be with you, but I can't be with you. And he's like, I want to be with you, but I can't be with you.
Oh, it goes like together. That throughout all of them.
I think I wrote this in the beginning of the book.
And that's why
I was writing them as I thought of them. So I wrote, Ariel doesn't get character depth, I feel like. He was just kind of thrown into the book, and she gives you little pieces about him. Not enough to connect with him, but it does... You kind of know about him. You know situations with him. You just don't get to know him as a character.
He's like a shadow at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like this just dark, steamy man that you don't really know anything about.
My favorite part, and who became my favorite person in the whole series, and I pronounced her name 1,000 times wrong. Do you want to take a guess who it is?
Neil?
No.
Oh. I love me some Neil.
He's alright.
Seth? Can't be Seth.
So I used to pronounce their name Banana. Ugh. After listening to the audiobook, it is called
Banana.
Banana, because I still want to say banana. I love it. Love it. Beautiful name. I don't know where she got it, but I know. I love the name Banana.
And the further on the audiobooks, because I've listened to audiobooks, I've read the books, I've done the ebooks. I like the towards the end, the reader that says her name, because he's got that in his voice. So when he goes Banana, you're just like,
one more time. Say it again. Listening.
Yeah. Like, say her name again. Oh, yeah.
So I also wrote...
Remember at the beginning of this, when I said she was going to tear my books apart? I'm sorry. That's okay.
I like banana. Ugh. Anyways, I wrote... I feel like Leslie kind of had the same plot line as, like, Belle, where she just destroyed her life as soon as possible. She was in a bad situation, But it was like, fuck it. I'm gonna do the worst things possible. Like, she was out when she wasn't supposed to be. Like, Neil and Ariel has told her not to be in these places, and I feel like she was always in these places.
Oh, yeah.
She was just not... Because, and I get it, it's because of Ariel's...
She constantly put herself in.
Constantly. And it was just kind of like, I felt like it was a Belle moment from Twilight. Like, it was strong when...
Belle?
That's what I meant. I felt like it was...
You said Belle, and I was, like, thinking of, like, Beauty and the Beast, and I'm like,
hold on. I felt like it was a Bella moment when Edward leaves and she constantly puts herself in danger so she can see him. That's kind of how I felt, because that one of the two always fucking showed up to fucking save the day. Whatever.
Yeah, I know.
And then my favorite line of the whole book.
Oh, she wrote a line.
It grossed me the fuck out. Was, you won't like me when I'm cruel. Ew. Ariel said that to Leslie because she was like, be your true self, be who you are. And he was like, you won't like me when I'm cruel. That's kind of how I...
That really bothered you?
Yeah, it just made me laugh. Honestly, I was like, this is gross. This is disgusting. Like, look at how many little... There's a lot of little smiley faces there.
Yeah.
Cry laughing emojis. When I got to the end of the book, apparently there had been a war that had taken place within this book that I was very unaware of. They win a war. Are you unaware of this? There was a war?
At the end of this book?
No, they just talk about them winning the war.
Oh, because it jumps. This book has a section where it jumps. That's why, because this war refers to... Yeah, there's like 5 books, right? So you have their timeline. You're going down the timeline, right? Wicked Lovely just like, or Ink Exchange just goes, and everything else keeps following this way. If you have a hard time with certain things that happen, you can just not read this book.
And she did say that to me. She's like, you don't have to read it.
Yeah,
I'll give
if you start
you a
it and you
detail
don't
of
like it, keep going, because they fill you in with everything and all. And
yeah.
I know I keep saying this and you didn't read them, but the side stories explain the throuple relationship so much better, to where you're kind of like, okay, you guys are just polyamorous, where you're like, but it's like fully mutual in a beautiful way.
Okay.
Side stories.
So those kind of grew up a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
And they were less, the
trigger
R word.
warning.
I should stop saying that. But, it's just so... I don't like this book. And it used to be my favorite.
But like I said, the potential for the book was there. I really was interested in the whole ink exchange. I really wanted to hear more about that. Like, I wanted to kind of be on the insight. Again, it is the third person. So again, that's where I'm not getting my information from, and I understand that. But on the inside of the ink exchange, on the insight of what it costs to do that kind of thing. Because, like, I know in a later series...
I totally get it. Where, like, you're all of a sudden you're in a tattoo room and you're like, oh, blood and tears are in this.
I just don't feel so good. Like,
and you're like, well, what?
No, I want to know more.
Yeah,
I want to hear his side of the story of how he extracted that, and put it into this ink, and I get it that it takes a while to make.
And I'm really surprised because Melissa Marr, like, when people have questions about like a certain thing, she writes us shorts. That's why there's so many shorts, because people
I feel like
wait
I should be doing this with her, and I'm sorry I'm grilling you on her books. It's not...
No, it's fine. No,
Melissa Marr, if you're out there, I got some questions.
How cool. I would pee myself.
We have some questions.
I have lots of books that I've read of yours. So. She does write a lot of stories that connect and fill in all these pieces. She's got this massive world that she has almost kind of along the lines of... Actually, I don't want to say her name because we're not cool with her, especially in the month of June. But,
I know who she's talking about.
You know how she's written these beautiful books and it has this entire massive world around it.
Magical world.
Magical world around it. She's also done the same thing where she has all these...
I wish somebody else would have wrote those books, man. You would think she would.
I know, but back to this one.
Anyways,
I digress. Sorry, I had to. She has all of these stories that help understand, like, all these little... I mean, it goes into, in the first book, in Wicked Lovely, when Keenan and Donia are talking to Ashlyn about what's going on, where Donia is explaining...
I love Donia, too. She's another good character.
And
good.
Wolf, let me tell you.
I love her.
True
Even though I wanted
woman's best friend. When she's explaining the past Winter Girls, there's a girl that she mentions that leaves all those like trinkets for her in that house. Do you remember that part?
Kind of, yeah.
There's a whole book on her. That's what. Well, it's not.
It's a novella.
Yeah, 0.5. And that's what I'm saying. But why didn't she do that here?
Yeah.
Of when they are suffering and they are running out of nutrients. Why didn't she do that here? She did it for almost every other book. Right out here. Sorry, I digress. I'm done.
All right.
I do have my own. I love her, but I do have my own hateful opinions. Not hateful. Spiteful?
Hey, Editing Brandy here. I just want to say sorry for cutting that video so short. There's no way that I could make it fit in a reasonable amount of time, so I figured just putting it in 2 parts would do better. So, stick around for the next one.